Hello, this is the Alchemy Kitchen. I am in my forge. Finally got things set up and able to forge again. It's been a long time. I was able to just do a couple random things since I moved in, since last May, and feels good to swing the hammer again. So this video I'm just going to be showing, I've been really busy. I had since last week, off from work. We're closed until next weekend. And yeah, so today is New Year's Eve. This is the second week off. First week off, Monday was great. Started to get work on stuff, and Tuesday I got the worst flu I've ever had. You can hear my voice is still recovering. It's weird. But the first couple of days were just hell. It was like so much pain. I've never had a flu like that, where you can't even lay down. I was having a hard time breathing. It wasn't COVID, but this flu, I think, was worse than COVID. Never got COVID, but yeah. Anyway, I finally got a bit of space made here to forge. I had a lot of stuff from when I started to move in May that was unfinished that I finished. We're going to be looking at everything. So the video is kind of random, just going over stuff I've been doing the last couple weeks. Before that, end of November, early December, until about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I'd say, I was swamped with orders on Etsy. I make these copper guitar picks. People love them. They do really good. They sell really good. And I was making those left and right, just nonstop. And with Christmas time, everyone's like, they want it really fast. I was overwhelmed with that, and that's all I could do. I'd sit up every night making as many as I could, and then the next day I have to sit and package them and send them out. Still getting orders, but not like it's always around Christmas time. Those go insane, which is great because it's like, yeah, this time off from work, it's not a paid holiday. I don't get paid, so I need to pay rent somehow. Anyway, the newest thing I've been working on, we call it a saufeder. It's basically, it's a spear. Hunters use them here in Germany to kill a boar. If it's wounded and it's not a place where you have a Kugelfang, which is like a safe place to shoot, where you know that's something to catch the bullet, then you would stab it. But a boar can be pretty friggin' aggressive, so when you have a spear, it's a little bit safer. So I've always wanted to make one. I've been trying to, since I got my hunting license and doing the course. Those are just, when you see them, they're awesome. They're expensive. And I was like, I can make that. I have a few more I'm going to make, and I was going to do one differently, which I still do. And I was just looking into it, and then I was like, I've never forged a spear or a socketed tool. So I was kind of like, there's that failure factor. You just got to do it, but when you know it might fail, it's kind of annoying because it's a lot of work. I did run out of propane today, so I didn't finish. I started this last night and worked on it a bit more today, just refining the socket and getting on the handle. But here it is so far. So, I mean, it's not totally forge welded shut, but it is. I mean, this steel, I'm not sure if it was leaf spring. It was some scrap I had. It's really thick. Here's the cut off of it. And I've used it for like Serbian chef knives. It's a hell of a lot of work to hammer. You got to really beat the crap out of it. I mean, I ended up having to use, I don't know how many pounds this is, but it's friggin' heavy. It's a really heavy hammer, and it's the only thing to make it move and get it red hot. Do not use your elbow when hammering. Use the shoulder. I learned the hard way when I first started forging. Use your shoulder, you'll be fine. I have another hammer I love it. I found it when I moved in here from an old blacksmith that used to live here, but the handle sucks for me. It's gave you some nice blisters. I'm also a little bit out of shape, but yeah, that handle just doesn't fit my hand good. So this is all brute to forge. I'm being stubborn now. I'm trying to keep it that way. I don't know. Brute to forge is where you're not grinding or cutting anything. You're forging out the entire shape, and the grinding is just really the finishing touch. It's a lot more work, but it's kind of cool because instead of removing steel, you're moving it, and all that mass is still there. This thing is super heavy. It's just it's test fitted to the shaft right now. Forging the socket it still could be a little bit tighter. I mean, it's on there really good. And there's no pin through it yet. But I do have to shape the end of the dowel, make like a more of a point to get it further in there, and then I'm going to be drilling a hole through here and peening in a rivet. But you see, it's super, super thick. This steel, it's not like a known steel. How it hardens is kind of whatever. It's a spear. It doesn't have to keep a sharp edge. It's going to have an edge, and it wants to be a bit of flex to it as well. So I believe it is a spring steel. I don't know. It was scrap steel. It's really hard to move. I know that, and it does for this kind of task. It's perfect. I mean, I started with a bar not much shorter than this, and that's one thing I'm kind of proud of. I didn't forging a tip without getting what we call fish mouth, where it makes this gap here. That took some practice to learn how to do that. I'm going to forge this out more when I get more propane, make it a bit more spear shaped, straighten things out a little bit, and yeah, I mean, it's get back pretty far to get all the picture. It's a good length, because ideally, when you want to go and stab a boar, you don't want to be too close to it if it's a big boar. I did my first, we have what are called drive hunts here in Germany, and that's basically they put hunters in all around an area sitting on stands or in certain locations, and then they have what are called beaters. That's what I did. You wear a lot of orange so you don't get shot, and you walk in a line with a bunch of people and make a lot of noise, blowing whistles, using a stick to beat stuff, and you try to scare the animals out to run past for the hunter to shoot. It's hard work. On that Riviera, I mean, you have, where there's the thick brush, that's where you have to go through, because that's where, like, especially the boar are hiding. And uphill, and yeah, you're pushing through, and I think they harvested 4 or 5 deer that day, and it's a lot of work, but that is how you get invited back to hunt the next time. So I got invited back on the 15th. Looking forward to that. It'll be my first hunt here in Germany. So anyways, this one is, yeah, I mean, I'm still, you see it's very thick, so I'm still forging out the bevels. I have to get more propane. We're going to refine that tip a bit more, and of course make it a bit more, yeah, it needs to be straightened a bit and a bit more spear shaped. The idea of something like this is where it is going to have very strong bones, so if you do hit a rib bone, you can get through it and twist whatever you need to do. Traditionally, a lot of these would have like a cross piece here for your foot to step on to drive in, but I think the blade is long enough that we don't need that. I will make another one that's going to be like more like a knife, and has a screw-on handle. That's my next project. With this one, I like to say it's almost done, but there's so much more hammering involved to get those bevels out. I'm not going to grind it. I want to, but I don't. Yeah, I want to stay kind of traditional with this one. So that was, I don't know how many hours I spent last night on this, just getting the shape. I've got some pictures, but basically you're starting out with a flat bar. You start with a socket, and you're you're making the bar into like almost like a hatchet shape at the bottom, like a fishtail. That's where the socket wraps. Getting this to fit, it's still like, it's hard to see. There's still a bit of space there. I'd like to get it a little bit of a tighter fit. And that's getting tricky because I don't have what's called an anvil dick. It's like a small spike that goes 90 degrees. You put it in the hardy hole to really help shape something like that. You need something steel that's the same diameter as the wood. So I'm kind of like looking through all the scraps I have. I found like a chisel. It's slightly bigger, so that was helpful, but also trying to hold that in a vise. Anything around it's going to move when you hammer on it. It's close, so I think a few more heats I can get that nice and fitted well. I mean, it's on there good. This, I just burnt it on so far. I got to take the shaft out and make it more of a spike shape to go in further, put the pin through. And I mean, it's, I don't know, I had several Dells laying around. This was the biggest diameter, that's straight, good length. Yeah, this thing is, it's friggin', it's got some weight to it. I'd love to get it done and throw it at something. But I hope to have this done in the next few days. It's just going to be like, hammering out those bevels is going to take a while. That's going to be a lot of heating and beating, but it's getting there. I'm actually happy. I thought it was going to be a lot. I didn't think everything would work like it has so far, so I'm really happy with it for the first time making a spear. I've got a ton of other stuff I've been working on, but they're all in different areas. I'm in the barn right now. Most of the stuff's in the workshop. We'll go take a look. All right, just put this on yesterday actually. This door to the backyard, old wooden door, and when it closes, it's really tight and it takes a good amount of force to open it. It's annoying because it had this handle. It's like, I think it's aluminum, and you barely can get your fingers in there, and to open it was, my girlfriend was having a hard time with it, and for me too, it could be super annoying. So I decided to forge out a handle, and now nice big handle, easy to pull and open. So that was a fun little project. It's hard to see in this light because there's construction going on in here and no lights. But kind of a ram's head thing. Some twists, reverse twist, and this shows up really bad with this light. But yeah, that made things a lot easier to open the damn door. Alright, so now we'll take a look at some of the mostly knives I've been working on. This one, I finished it a while ago, but I had to make the sheath. So the sheath is done. A little bit of carved leather. Acid-etched raven. Crescent moon. It's a zebra wood handle with a paracord fob. Just makes it more comfortable for a small handle. Only thing left to do is make like a necklace for it. Make out of paracord. Yeah, this is one I finished ages ago and just still had to make the sheath. Again, moving kind of at the same time I made this one as well. Another neck knife. I'm going to put a handle on that in the next day or two. Finish it up, make the sheath. This one, it's my first, it's actually 5 layers, what we call gomai. So it's 80 CRV2 and 15N20 steel, 5 layers that were forge welded together all by hand. Very thick, robust blade. It's all hand forged. It's a multi-wood laminate that I used. So you see the different colors there. I made the mosaic pin. That's Mocha Megane. It doesn't pick up very good on this light. That's made from quarters, actually, so it's copper and nickel. It was a difficult build. Still got some work to do on the bolster where it meets, but pretty happy with the way it turned out. It's a very beefy knife, very comfortable to handle. The acid edge Triskill. And you'll see there's a copper tint to it. That's a method I used in the acid etch, where I put copper in the acid. It kind of ruins the acid and it leaves a copper color on the steel. So I thought that came out pretty interesting. Just, it's a shame the light doesn't do it justice. Fluorescent lights in here, but you see the layers. Sorry, the music was a bit loud. All right, this one, another one I had started before moving. This is for a coworker. He has a tracker blade, Tim Brown tracker, the original, and he likes it, he loves it, but he just said it's too big. He wanted one a bit smaller. So he gave me the knife to get the design from, and I made a smaller version. We have a acid etch logo he wanted in there. The Spartan helmet. It's a brass guard with copper rivets, brass pins, brass lanyard hole, and this wood is, I'm still doing the coats of oil on it, but it's like a walnut burl. It came off of a rifle stock. It was a cut-off piece he had. Beautiful wood. Light does not pick it up as good as it should to do justice, but it's a beefy blade. It's very heavy, but very comfortable. I'm going to put like a 20-degree edge on this part and a 25-degree edge on this part, because that's going to be more for, for like batoning and stuff like that. Just have to make the sheath. It took me a while because I had so much time away from doing things. I was really scared to work on the wood and mess something up, because that was the only piece of wood I had for it, of this really nice walnut. So I wanted to work on a few knives to get back in practice and then dive into it. It was a challenge, because the wood, there was a lot of issues with it. The profile of the blade, I had to borrow a grinder, a 1-inch grinder, to be able to do this. This was not easy, but I'm happy with the results. I'll be glad to get the sheath finished, which is going to be another task, the way he wants it. And let's see, somebody that was in the hunting course with me asked me to make him a sax. And I've been wanting to make one for a long time, so finally got around to it. He gave me the dimensions. He wanted it pretty simple. So here we have it. That's 15N20 steel. He really wanted everything I offered to like add extra. He's like, no, he really wanted it simple. Only thing extra I really did was this file work here, which serves as a purpose for thumb grip. It's a tropical wood, has a nice lighter tint at the top, very comfortable handle, and it's a big blade, but it's pretty thin, so it's not so heavy. It's got like the potential for a chop. It just wants to chop. It's got a really good balance. Really like the way this turned out. Sheath is going to be another thing too. I'm going to make like the traditional sack sheath where to carry behind your back, upside down with the loops, and yeah. This one I started ages ago and finally quenched it. I'm going to probably use a bone handle. It's more of a looker dagger, not very yeah, not very practical for a lot of uses, but I always like crisp blades, so there we go. I finished this today. It's hard to get in the picture. Anyone know what this is? I still gotta drill a couple holes here, and I'm gonna actually end up painting it black. I could do a boiled linseed oil finish, but I'm gonna just paint it black. It's a toilet paper roll holder for our bathroom, the ram's head, and that's why I'm gonna paint it black. The bathroom gets humidity, so it's gonna rust easy, and just paint it black. It's only for holding toilet paper. Now I can poop in style. And where are we? So yeah, those have been keeping me busy. I did this actually before, I think last month. I did it in November. A couple of these pendants. I gotta put these, still take pictures and put them up on my Etsy page. I'll put the link below. Check out my Etsy page. Like I said, this one's commissioned. This one's commissioned. The neck knife. The 5-layer. Those are gonna be up for sale. Same with this one, it's finished. So this is quartz with copper. Here's another one. It's a red agate, I believe, or red jasper, I can't remember. Also copper wrapped pendant. Now I have a lot of knives from files. This one came out good. Still a bit of, finishing work to do to it. Grinding in the bevels, sharpening it. Typical blacksmith knife, or a Viking knife. This one I had to quench it twice. It warped the first time, now it's straight, but I don't think it hardened very good. I don't know. I never have good luck working with files or rasps. So I am going to make a fork with this in like a middle-age cutlery set. I have one already up on Etsy. When something doesn't work like I want it to, I try to figure out a way to still purpose it. Here's like old one. These are like some of the first knives I made. I think this was from Coil Spring. So I'm going to touch that up and also make it into like a cutlery set. I think this was the very first knife I made. Just found this. That's from Rebar. So it's not like a great steel for knives at all by any means, but steak knife, yeah. So another cutlery set. Just got to make some forks. These were commissioned by a coworker. He works with a band. He's a photographer, and that's their symbol and the logo. So these are copper picks. That's a black patina. This one I still got to clean up. It's ammonia patina. These are acid etched with to get that color. I use a torch to color the copper. And one more. Also acid etched. That is most of the stuff. I know I still have other stuff I'm working on and things to make. Found this when we moved in, this old cleaver. I'm going to restore it, make it all nice and new. Got a lot of these. And I do a lot of copper work, bracelets. All these to finish up and get listed on Etsy. I've had quite a few up that sold already. They're mostly sold out. Some Mocha Megane blanks. These are old. I made them last year, I think. But useful for a lot of different things. I like to use them for knife bolsters. They really look good. Or for guards. I hate making guards. Oh, speaking of, I still got this one. This was a pain in the butt. It's taped up still because I just had glued the handle. That's a antler and a brass guard, brass pommel. Has to be shaped. This is an old file. And like I said, I have bad luck with files. They didn't harden. So I'm going to fix that tip. It's a stabber, what we call a Hirschfinger. It's really for killing a deer. So it's not really necessary to have a hardened blade. It's just got to have a sharp point, which it will have. That's going to be a bit of work. It's kind of, I don't know, this thing was pissing me off because it didn't harden. I tried twice. Don't know why it would not harden. But it will stab. And it'll look cool when it's done. Unfortunately, still got the tape on. Let me see if I can rip that off real quick. Alright, got most of the tape off. Now you can see it a little better. It's, yeah, that's going to need some fixing. Cool design. Big knife. Stabber. It's epoxied through tang. I did peen over the handle, so it's pretty solid handle. But it's really more, I mean, sure, it'll stab. It's not going to hold the edge good. It didn't harden. Doesn't need to for stabbing. More like a ceremonial thing, which gets used quite a bit for these types of knives for hunters. But it also, I mean, it'll put a deer down for sure. Yeah. I don't know. This is kind of aggravating me. It's one of those pieces where I'll just keep kind of taking a break from going back to till I am happy with it. Still got to shape out the pommel and guard. Super thick brass. But yeah, it'll look nice when it's done. More of a decorational piece than anything. I wouldn't, you know, I'll sell this for cheaper, and of course I will explain that it's not hardened and what its limitations are. So I'm sure there's more that I'm sitting around that I'm working on, but that's, you know, there's always, and yeah, I bought this axe, an old axe, been using it and broke the handle. So I love working with axes. I'm going to reprofile the blade, make it a bearded axe, rehang a handle on it. That's another, I have a lot of axes I'm working on, or in the process. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification, see what happens next, blah, blah, blah. I hope to get some new videos more frequently soon, now that I've kind of caught up with a lot of things that I needed to catch up with. Until then.